Welcome everybody to Battle Superfluous. Where are you joining us from? What time is it wherever you are? But most importantly, what are you drinking? Yes, that is Charles Shaw. The gentleman behind me here is Gandalf the Giraffe. I am Paul Carganilla. I am your host for the BS. This is the second battle of our first tournament, and 8 teams will enter. Only one will emerge as our first ever Battle Superfluous World Champions. Tonight, our battle pits the orange team against the gray team, and the topic that they drew last week was more enjoyable life experience. Wealthiest person on the planet versus Immortal. And Rolland won the secret Facebook advantage for the gray team, so they picked to support the side of wealthiest person on the planet. So orange team will be supporting Immortality. The winner will go on to face the winner of the first battle. If you missed it, check it out. It's on the website. But the winner is determined by a best of 3 verdict count. We have 2 judges sitting in on the battle, and the third vote goes to you, the viewing public at home. You have 48 hours after the battle is over to hop on over to our Facebook page and comment on this video, either orange or gray. If the judges' decisions are split, it will be your vote that determines who moves on to the Final Four next month. So, with that said, we'll introduce our judges for this battle. Battle number 2, I'm going to start with you, Michael.
How's it going?
It's going great. What are you drinking?
Good. I am drinking, actually, straight up Coke. As you can see, it's mostly ice, but it's got this cool, authentic Return of the Jedi Burger King glass from 1983.
Very good. Well, Mike,
yeah.
I'd like to remind the viewers that the judges aren't given any sort of rules or specific guidelines on which to base their decisions. So with that said, is there anything you can tell the competitors you're looking for here this evening in the battle?
I'm basically looking for some substance. You know, I want to see some good logical conclusions. I don't want to see any kind of ragtag, trying to connect the dots type stuff.
And we are going to Brittnee, who is our second judge this evening.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to watch this debate tonight.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking beer, actually, but it's root beer because I'm rooting for everyone to do a great job tonight.
Is there anything you're looking for in particular this evening?
You know, I'm pretty easy to please. I'm really easily entertained, and I have a good sense of humor. So I guess at the end of the day, it's just whichever team really convinces me that their position is the right one.
Let's meet our players. We're going to start with the orange team, and the boot for the orange team is Josh Disan. What are you drinking?
Tastes great.
Diet
yeah,
Snapple.
that's what I'm drinking, man.
Our sword for the orange team, you will not believe me when I tell you, but it is true. Her name is Brieanna Harvey, and Bree is joining us from a Tibetan refugee camp in India. Bree, you're 12 hours ahead of us. It's 7:30 in the morning. What do they drink in Tibetan refugee camps in the morning?
I'm drinking coconut water from a coconut, which I bought on the street from a small child with a machete because that's how I roll. And it's pretty delicious. It's full of electrolytes, so expect me to be enlightened. Watch out, Team Gray.
That is a threat from India. You don't get that every day. Our hammer for the orange team is Kasey Gardner.
Hey, thanks, Paul. I'm drinking a Guinness in a pint glass. It's a Guinness within a Guinness. It's like a Guinnessception.
That's our orange team. Let's meet the gray team. Our boot for the gray team, Danielle. Welcome, Danielle. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Bud Light. Some call it water, some call it alcohol. But, you know, it's the mixture of both. It's just my St. Louis thing, St. Louis, Missouri. drink of choice.
Our sword for the gray team is Tyler Cole. Tyler, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a kiwi strawberry Snapple in a scotch glass so that it looks like I'm classier for those who tune in late.
And our hammer for the gray team is Rolland Petrello. I am going to guess that you're drinking wine.
No, I'm actually drinking Macallan 17-year-old scotch in a scotch glass.
All right, well, that's...
I'll be wine tasting tomorrow, though. It's a day that ends in Y, so...
Well, having introduced the teams, now I would like to introduce a new player being introduced here in the second ever battle. And this is our Wildcard Lifeguard, or our Wildlife. His name is Danielle. What's up? What are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking a Coors Light vodka cafe cream. I call it the White Russian Separatists. It's a new drink that I just created. It's really delicious. It's really good at just like if you need to like shoot someone down, like with their answers. So if I need to do that, I'll do that.
Well, Daniel, as our wild card, he's going to be here, and he's been in cahoots with both teams in preparation for this evening's event. Just in case somebody's internet goes out or something, he is trained to hop in there and battle for that team. And if he's not used in a substitutional role, he gets 1 minute at the very end to say anything he wants. Well, that's all of our players. That means it's time for Battle Superfluous Part 2. We are debating more enjoyable life experience. Wealthiest person on the planet versus Immortal.
I wanted to take these 2.5 minutes to make just 2 simple points. The first being that immortality is truly like a superpower because time, and specifically death, is the greatest limitation that we humans face in our lifetime. Usually our decisions are limited by a lot of things, but the biggest one, which is, hey, I need to get a degree in this. I got a degree as a lawyer. I hate being a lawyer. Guess what? Too damn bad, because you don't have enough time to go back to school. Time and what we can do with it. The second point I wanted to make is that immortality would, if you wanted it to, you don't have to take the option, but it would offer you the option of becoming the wealthiest person on Earth, if you so chose. You could slowly save up all your money, material possessions, and it'll eventually happen. You could accomplish it. Whereas no amount of wealth could ever buy immortality. So with that, any argument that this gray team might want to make as to why wealth is awesome, guess what? We can do it too. So you're just arguing on our team. So this is one big orange team. So you already lost. Boom, I only took 1.5 minutes, that's all I needed. What? What?
All right, so you made some really great points about being immortal. It's a powerful thing, but we all know what it's like to have no money. And we all know what it's like to, when we think of all the things we want to do in life, how much money is a huge, vital thing to have. And to be wealthy, there's so many aspects to it. We hope in this argument as the gray that we are healthy and wealthy and moving forward in our lives along with everything that's going on. When it comes to wealth, there's so many points, but it honestly can get us anywhere we want. We want to go in life, moving forward. There are so many aspirations we all have, and being an actor or relating it to people in this industry, money is a huge deal and can get us pretty much anywhere. And it also can educate us. We can use it for education. We can use it in all amazing things. There are more upsides than downsides when it comes to wealth if you are smart and if you're educated, and that's all I got to say. That is all I got to say for the gray.
Okay, Okay, before I jump into it, I'm just going to disclose that all my arguments are based on empirical facts. That being said, Biggie Smalls. Oh yeah, I'm going there. Our boy Biggie had more money, then more problems, then he wrote a song about it, and now he's dead. Like I said, facts. First, let's just consider you're the wealthiest person on the planet. Now, you're also the most famous. Every stupid thing you say, every wedgie you pick for the rest of your life is going to be topic of discussion for those idiots on TMZ. You want to take a relaxing walk on the beach? Forget about it. Paparazzi in your face asking you about your latest divorce. Imagine your preteen daughter in tears, locked up in her room for days because 73% of people polled think she's dumber and less talented than Paris Hilton. Second, if you are the richest person on the planet, the fact still remains there's no guarantee that you'll be able to enjoy your wealth for a week, a day, an hour. I'm sure you're all aware of the formidable writings of Alanis Morissette. It's like winning the lottery and dying the next day. It's powerful because, again, based in fact, Murphy's Law. Chances are if you come into a massive amount of wealth, you're probably going to die a premature death. Third, sure, money can buy you gold teeth and a pet tiger, but it will not buy you happiness. There is an extensive body of research which clearly demonstrates that income level only makes you happy up until a certain point. Fourth, do not expect sympathy from anyone. What's that? You burnt your face off in an accident? I'm sorry, but you're freaking loaded. Buy a new face. Chicks will still, get with you. In conclusion, being the richest, most lonely, pathetic person on the planet is not the life I want to live. I want to be invincible and be married to Edward Cullen. I don't care that he's in high school and has weird teeth. Again, facts. I rest my case.
Okay, first of all, with having immortality, there comes with wondering where the immortality began. So let's say that immortality began at the beginning of time. Therefore, you as a human being are around for many millions of years before other humans are around. And you know what happens when you're in solitary confinement as a human being? You start to go insane. Those are scientific studies that they do on astronauts to make sure that they can handle being in outer space alone for more than a few months at a time. They usually can only do about 12 or 14 days before they start showing signs of insanity. The human mind is not capable of being immortal in terms of how it can survive not living with other human beings. That's point number one. Point number two, that insanity can lead to things like feral children, which has been studied in places like Russia, where they have actually found children living in homes alone where wolves raised them, which means that the human mind is adaptable to other people, which means that you would be a dinosaur in today's world, as in you're acting like a dinosaur. You're not going to be acting like a person. There's part two of immortality. Now, Danielle made some points about having no money is vital to survive, that you need money. And that is very true. You need money to survive in this world. Having all that money can create a power, and yes, it can make you secluded because everyone in the world is after you for all of that wealth. However, you can use that wealth to help the rest of the world. It doesn't have to be about you. It can be about everyone around you. If you had an unlimited source of wealth, you could make the entire world an unlimited source of wealth and make every single person unlimitedly wealthy, and therefore there would be no need for wealth or power or anything like that. Now, that's one of my other points. With every superpower, if you are an immortal and you become a superpower, all superpowers and people who have superpowers long enough might go insane. And this is cited from The Dark Knight, where he says you either die a hero or you live to become the villain that you fight. That's corruption, and that is possible with any human mind. If you have one job, it is about who the best of you is in that lifetime that you give, not about how many lifetimes you can give.
Again, immortality. You can choose to have all the wealth you want, or you could choose to not have it. You could choose to, once you have that wealth, go ahead and help the whole entire world if you feel like it. If not, you don't. Wealth, like my good friend Bree said, more money, more problems. And even if you want to go ahead and help everybody, again, you die tomorrow, what happened to all that money? Doesn't do you any good. As far as going insane, when did immortality begin? Obviously, it would have to begin whenever your life begins, because that's when the life that can never end would begin. And even if you were the first man on Earth, you'd be around other people. There'd be no solitary confinement. You'd be fine. No craziness. You're good.
All right. Basically, it boils down to the fact that you have to be smart with your money. So when you are wealthy, you don't, like you said, if you die tomorrow, if you're smart with where you put your money and your investments and the things and the places that it could go, you could have so much, you could touch so many people and so many lives. It all depends on your mentality on either side, immortality or wealth. But you could die alone in immortality. Well, you can't die alone in immortality because you can't die. But with wealth, you can die alone, but if you touch all these people out there, there's so much more you can have. When it comes to helping the world, it really just, like I said, I'm going to go back to it. It depends on the mentality that you have in the way you live your life, and the amount of money that you have can touch other people and how you move forward. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, we're talking about an enjoyable life, and you guys are missing the point. Josh, you say that you could make all this money if you're immortal. If you suck with your money now, you will suck forever, and you won't have any money. Bree, you talk about, oh my God, you can't go to the beach because everyone's going to follow you. Buy your own beach, and you will have all the beach you want. And here's the big thing that nobody's talking about. If you live forever, you are going to watch everyone you love die and suffer. And you want to talk about something that will drive you insane? That will do it. You're worried about your preteen daughter. If you're immortal, you're going to watch her die. If you're wealthy, you can leave these people all the money that can allow them to continue to build a legacy. Bree, you're at refugee camps. If you're wealthy, you can take care of all the refugees and the one on our own southern border. Kasey, why are you going for an MBA if money doesn't matter? It absolutely does. And I'm sorry, wanting to be immortal is the most selfish goal you can have. You can't help anyone if you're immortal. In fact, ultimately, someday you're going to have to live a lie. What, are you going to be married 17 times and lie to your 18th wife and say, hey, I'm only 40 years old? As the gray beard, literally, on the gray team, I can tell you, you're going to either come across as insane or a liar, neither of which you want. And the last thing is, there's nothing that says if you're immortal, you're not going to develop disease, get Alzheimer's. Great. You can live forever and not remember a single day of it. And my last point, when we blow this planet to shit, which we will, where are you going to live? You're immortal. What, are you going to float in space like George Clooney in Gravity? You're going to be alone forever. And that's what your fate will ultimately be. Wealthy, you can be happy.
I think the most important thing to realize in this debate is that we're looking for the most enjoyable life. And I'm not entirely sure that the rich and the 1% in our society are A, that happy, or B, very helpful for the rest of us. In fact, to piggyback on something that Bree said, the evidence out on income inequality proves that the rich have less empathy for everyday people, including each other, meaning that a world that's massively divided in terms of wealth is a miserable and lonely one, not one that's fantastic. But I digress, and I want to go back to the value that the Immortals could bring to our society. How great would it be to have first-person accounts of the most important historical events that ever occurred, to allow a depth of reasoning and a depth of empathy to exist in this world that would otherwise not be available? That is the value that Immortals could bring to our society that really does lead to enjoyableness for everyone. But also, let's talk about the children. I don't know if the children of Immortals are going to have different lives than their parents, if immortal is hereditary or immortalness is hereditary or not. But I don't think that's a problem. I think that if you can go ahead and expand the depth of knowledge and the depth of understanding that's brought to by Immortals, that you'll go ahead and have a better society. So basically, I'm not sure what the trade-off is. Something about being wealthy, as if you're immortal and you can't be wealthy. I don't know why you can't have some money, enough money to survive, enough money to make a difference. You're flipping immortal. You know a ton of stuff. It should be very easy to beat the economic system and gain some capital to do something meaningful in your life. So I see a lot of false dichotomies here, and I really think it's a more logical choice to go ahead and go with the immortality.
Battle number 2 is sponsored by xterraperformance.com. If you have an Xterra truck or a Nissan Frontier, head on over there. They have all kinds of aftermarket accessories and off-roading products to get you to get up and get out there. That's xterraperformance.com. And if you'd like to sponsor a future battle, head on over to our website, BS Debate, and click on Sponsor BS. You can read all about it.
Okay, Kasey, you say you're going to give first-person accounts. Who's going to believe you? They're going to think either you're a liar or insane and put you in a jail or a hospital. Oh, yeah, I was around 300 years ago. Who the hell will believe that? And if they do, they'll probably lock you up to experiment on you. Oh, that'll be an enjoyable life.
As far as the argument of people, you know, you're going to go see your loved ones dying, no amount of wealth precludes us from the suffering of the passing of loved ones. If your 6-year-old develops cancer and is going to die, they're going to die no matter what.
Absolutely, but with immortality, you're guaranteed to watch everyone you ever care about die, and nothing you can do about that. I can't imagine anything more heart-wrenching.
I just want to say something in response to that. For 1 second, I actually think it would develop my personal growth after experiencing like 200 generations of my loved one die. I would get really good at grieving and learning to love again, and in turn, I would become an expert on this matter, and my insights would be able to help humanity, which would then in turn give me a lot of satisfaction.
Except when you watch people that lose people that they love, they stop reaching out. They close themselves off. They don't want to experience that anymore.
If they become depressed. Go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, do you want to get married and then have kids and literally watch all of them pass and cycle through that? There'd be no, I guarantee you'd have to go through some form of depression. I mean, depression is immortality. I mean, there's so many people that you are going to go through in life and lose.
Absolutely, but it is, as they say, it is much better to have loved than to never loved at all. You would get so good at loving people. You'd be so insightful that everything that...
There's a reason the Highlander was depressed.
You start to develop sociopathic tendencies, therefore you can't empathize with humanity anymore, and you won't care that people are dying. You'll say, well, everyone's going to die anyway, so why should I help anyone?
And if that guides your decisions, like Josh says, I can only imagine the bad decisions.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you get numb out of learning how to live and let go.
People who go through a lot of tragedies and sufferings, have you ever known them to lead a normal, regular, easier lifetime, or do they just carry those burdens with them throughout the rest of their existence? That's just part of who we are. That's how we are emotionally connected.
That's because they're faced with a finite amount of time. If you have infinite time, there's infinite possibility to grow and obtain wisdom and satisfaction.
That would just
depression and insanity.
We're talking about the most enjoyable life, though. We're talking about the most enjoyable, maximized, enjoyable life. That is what we're talking about.
And you would have time. You would have time to learn how to live the most enjoyable life.
Exactly, but during that time, you will go through depression.
Absolutely, that's not fun.
Absolutely, you will. That's part of.
Okay. Kasey says that rich have less empathy. Bill Gates gives away 1/4 of his fortune every year. And if I'm the wealthiest person, I'm a good-hearted person. I'm going to give that money away and build a legacy for future generations of my family. And all this about all of a sudden my children are immortal, you don't get to change the rules of the game, Kasey. I'm sorry. And Bree, the topic was an enjoyable life. Being depressed is never enjoyable. It's just not. And you're right. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy wine, and that is the next best thing to happiness, especially good wine. Poor Paul is over there drinking $2 Upchuck. If he had some money, he wouldn't have to buy Charles Shaw. He could be drinking Screaming Eagle. He could be drinking good things and good food and taking his wife out to amazing dinners like the one he's declined at my house, which would have been free.
Hey, thanks, Paul, and thanks, everybody, for having the debate. I still think that fundamentally we win the debate because there isn't a trade-off between the two. You can be immortal and be economically well off because your intelligence and your experience from living your life gives you a chance to make money. So any of the benefits that you have of being wealthy, you can ascertain as also being immortal. The question is, what sort of rich experience can you share? We're winning arguments that your experience being more rich and having more places to have been, people to have known, etc., makes you a tool that the human race can use to advance itself. And most importantly, you're not going to get emotionally stunted by learning how to live and let go. Life is a cycle. Everyone in this conversation is going to die, and you need to figure out how to deal with that. And putting it off away and hoping it's not going to happen is not a solution into thinking that you're somehow going to wake up and not have to deal with death. I think you should embrace immortality because it functionally makes us deal with the toughest part of being human, and that's saying goodbye to everybody that we love.
All right, guys, just to let you know, I've been immortal and I've been rich. I'm still pretty rich right now. And I want to let you know that being immortal, unfortunately, you can still have horrible diseases. I had IBS for the duration of my life and hemorrhoids. And being immortal with IBS and hemorrhoids is like not a good idea. You're just horribly inflamed in your nethers nonstop. So that's just something to think about. As well as being super rich, it's really rough when Cousin Vinny calls you and he's like, "Hey man, I really want a restored gremlin." And you're like, "Really? A gremlin? That's what you want?" So then you have to buy it for him. But it's kind of cool. So I don't know if that helps judges. Some information.
I doubt it will. But thank you for the segue.
I think the most important question I have is for Josh on the Immortal team. I'm kind of wondering what's the motivation for somebody having an immortality and getting things done? Because most people in life, when they're productive, they have deadlines, they have things to do. They're kind of motivated by getting things done. But if you're immortal, I mean, if I was immortal, I'd be procrastinating forever. I would have no reason to do anything, right? So I'm just wondering how that factors into your life experience, if at all.
I look at it as you have the luxury of procrastination. The reason we don't procrastinate is because either you can procrastinate and not make anything of your short existence, or you can go ahead and get things done because you only have so long to live. If you're immortal, you don't have to make that choice. You're not forced. You can procrastinate for 100 years and then get busy for 100 years. You can procrastinate for 500 years and then get busy for 1,000 years. It doesn't matter. There's no more limits. There's no more limits.
Well, man, you guys, first of all, are good. I found myself going back and forth a lot. My question, I think I would like to ask Brieanna this question. So I feel like what I've gathered so far is that you can pretty cleanly argue that both immortality and wealth have a lot of similar pros, but the cons of immortality sound like they can kind of outweigh the cons of wealth, just with the whole losing people you love, all of that. Can you argue that the cons to wealth are greater? Because I feel like the pros are kind of the same. If you're immortal, you can become wealthy, but if you're wealthy, and you die eventually, you won't have to watch everyone else that you've loved die. Does that make sense? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, and I could see how at the surface it may seem like, because we're all immortal, it's difficult for us to put ourselves in the mindset of facing infinite time. However, yes, immortality would have a lot of potential downsides, just like real life, but there'd be just as many pros. So you're losing your family, your loved ones. That's going to suck, just like it's going to suck in real life. However, you'll have the time and the opportunity to learn how to work through that and to come up with techniques, real techniques that humans can apply to learn how to love with an open heart and to grieve and go through that process and share the information with the world, like really make an impact on humanity. Secondly, about the diseases, give me a break. If you're immortal, by the time that technology catches up to you, at some point there's going to be a cure for just about every disease in the world. So to answer your question, no. I think that there are the possibilities and pros to being immortal are way, way, way higher than just being rich and living a short life.
Then that is the end of battle number 2. Are you all convinced? Is anyone convinced? Well, if you are, head on over to facebook.com/BattleSuperfluous. Comment on this video. Orange or gray, make your choice. Who's moving in the final 4? Who's going to face the green team? Will it be orange or will it be gray? That will be decided by our judges. I don't envy them at all. And they're going to give me their decisions, but I need yours.